And good afternoon. Welcome to Loop with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. My next guest is Courtney Aslin. She's currently the election supervisor for the Stoddard County Clerk's Office. Courtney, may I call you Courtney?
You sure can.
Courtney, welcome to the booth.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on today.
Courtney, tell the listeners a little bit about Courtney Aslin.
I have been a Bloomfield Wildcat my entire life.
Go Wildcats.
Born and raised in Bloomfield. My Stoddard County roots run deep. I have family that has been raised in the Boot Heel in Stoddard County as well. I attended Bloomfield High School, class of 2012. I married a Bloomfield Wildcat, and I currently have an 8-year-old who is a Bloomfield Wildcat. So we are Wildcats through and through. Stoddard County is home. We are happy to have roots here as a century farm family of Aslin Farms. We love this area.
And again, we're on Welcome to Luke with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin. Courtney probably will not say this, but I'm going to say everything. She has the toughest job in the entire county government, in that she's the election supervisor. And people say, well, how can that be the case? Because first of all, if there's no problems, everybody expects that it should have no problems. And if there are any issues, it's like, why in the world are there any issues, Courtney? Because you have such a diverse situation with the elections. You have to, first of all, guesstimate how many ballots you think you're going to need. You have to make determinations about putting things on ballots. Well, I know you send to the Secretary of State, but you have to get the ballots ready. You have to collect the ballots. You have to count the ballots. Kind of go through a day or a week or a month of your life being the election supervisor there in Stoddard County.
Well, the election process is forever ongoing. We do voter registration year-round. So voters come in, register to vote. We get registrations through Department of Motor Vehicle, through the Secretary of State's office with online registrations. Around the time elections start, we have candidacy filing. So we sign candidates up. They come to our office or go to the entities, depending on what type of election it's for. And then the ballot processing begins. So we will set up the election and prepare the ballots. And of course, like you said, order the ballots and estimate a voter turnout, which can alter depending on elections and the type of elections and the amount of candidates that file for the positions. It can be up in the air. So there can be a challenge with that.
And, you know, it's almost like a situation, again, where Welcome to Luke with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor for the Stoddard County Clerk's Office. It's almost like a situation in which, obviously presidential years there'll be more, but you never know. There's a hot button issue that may pop up, and you always have to kind of be on top of that because it's like how do I say, you want to have enough ballots, but you don't want to have a bunch of extra ballots, because then you're just using the resources of the county for money on things that we don't need, correct?
That is correct.
I want to ask you your opinion on something, and then we're going to delve in some other stuff. You can now register to vote through the Department of Motor Vehicles when you get a driver's license or things of that nature. How do you feel that's working here in Stoddard County?
When voters can go to the Department of Revenue and they will register to vote. Of course, they go through the proper channels of processes at the Department of Motor Vehicles. It's really a quick and simple process. They register the voters and we get the registrations the very next day. We process the registrations and the voters will receive a voter ID card in the mail.
So it's almost making it like it's more efficient and easier, because everybody's going to need to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles at some point to either register a vehicle or to get a new driver's license. If you're relocating, I think it would be the ideal time to say, hey, not only am I relocating a new driver's license, I also need to tell you that I need to change my registration, correct?
Absolutely. A majority of our registrations do come from DMV with address changes. people don't even think about changing their voter registration when their address changes or their name changes. And it's kind of a one-stop shop, going to the DMV and being able to get registered to vote, to have that taken care of come election day. You're not scrambling around to get registered or not able to vote on election day, because there is a cutoff for last day to register to vote.
And, that's one thing in southeast Missouri, as you indicate. We tend to have deeper roots. People tend to stay in areas longer. They aren't as transient as maybe in the cities and things of that nature. So a lot of people, I've voted in the same place for 20 years. So you don't really think about that. And then, the next thing is, and of course I'm talking about a lot of different things here, but I just want your opinion. When you do have to change a polling place or a place that the election is going to take place, there's a lot of time spent in that determination as well, isn't there?
There sure is. There's a lot of procedures and protocols that we're required to go by in choosing polling places. There's guidelines, ADA accessibility, security of the polling precinct. All those factors go into selecting the polling precincts and making it efficient for the voters.
And you want everyone to have access, but at some point you can't have 37 polls in which there may be one location in which there's 7 people voting, and in another area in which there may be 3,000 people voting. I mean, you want to make it as efficient and convenient as possible, but you also have to have some kind of guidelines, correct?
Correct. We currently have 7 polling precincts within the county, and then you have absentee and vote center, which is a polling precinct of themselves held at the county clerk's office. So a total of 9 precincts. We had more than that whenever I started, but consolidating Leora and Dudley precincts, we now have 7.
And, one of the things I think is really great, here in Dexter, I believe everybody votes at the Dexter.
The Bearcat Event Center.
In Kennett, everybody in Kennett votes at the American Legion as well as anybody. So I think that makes it very efficient as well. So, Courtney, when you're not working at the Stoddard County Clerk's office, being in charge of elections and things of that nature, what are some of the things you like to do?
I enjoy spending time with my family. I enjoy traveling, and I spend a lot of time out on the farm.
Well, we always need people who are enjoying the farm. You guys row crop farmers? You cattle farmers? What do you guys do there?
We have row crops and we have cattle.
And you've been doing that, and I know in the summer you probably enjoy that with the husband and your child and things of that nature. Courtney, there's something that you've decided that you're going to do a little bit different. Kind of explain to listeners, what have you made a decision what you're going to do?
I have decided to run for county clerk in the August 4th primary election, and I would appreciate your votes.
And obviously, Courtney has been the election supervisor for how long now?
I have been the election supervisor for 3 years, and I have worked within the county clerk's office going on 6 years.
It's my understanding that the current county clerk, Mr. Cecil Weeks, has decided not to run again. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And he is going to enjoy his retirement as much as Cecil can enjoy his retirement. I'm sure I can find some jobs for him, but we'll see. Cecil. So, Courtney, tell me a little bit about the plans. If you are elected, there's a lot of things, and of course, I don't think there should be. I'm not saying there is. Is there some things that you're wanting to change as far as the county clerk?
I feel like the policies and procedures we have in the clerk's office is working at this point. There's a lot that is completed in the county clerk's office as far as accounts payable for the county, payroll, elections, budgetary. We have a lot of hats in that office. We are the hub of the county.
And one thing, and I told you this off air, and again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor of Stoddard County Clerk's Office, and also hopefully the presumptive nominee for the Republican Party and the eventual Stoddard County Clerk. The Stoddard County Clerk's office is the most difficult elected position, I feel, in local government, because not only are you in charge of elections, you're also in charge of handling the budgetary issues and dealing with the county commission on a daily or weekly basis. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So kind of explain to the listeners a little bit about the budgetary process of what does that mean as far as what you do as a county clerk.
The budgetary process, budgets go out to all the departments throughout the county, and they are submitted back to the county clerk's office. The county clerk will then work hand in hand with the commission on the budget and setting the line item expenditures and revenues for the county for the following year. There's a lot that goes into a budget.
And for those who don't know, the Stoddard County Sheriff's Office, the Stoddard County Prosecutor's Office, the Stoddard County Collector, Recorder, all those offices have budgetary needs. They provide a copy to you. You work with them to try to see where you are on the budget. And then at that point, you then also have to go to I'll call them the county commission, in which you then decide on what the actual budget is going to be, correct?
That is correct.
Kind of explain how much time goes into that.
We usually start the budget process in October, November, and the budgets are typically, we have our budget hearings during the middle of January, so they're about 2 to 3 months long.
So it's a lot of time is involved in the budgetary issue of that. How often does the county commission meet?
The county commission meets once a week, usually on Mondays, given there's no holidays.
And that's when they sit down and they'll post the agenda, talk about the activities that's going to go on with the Stoddard County Commission. Is that correct?
That is correct.
For anyone who's interested, the Stoddard County Commission meets every Monday, pending a holiday. I believe it starts at 10 o'clock.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. I was off by an hour. Maybe that's always why they look at me funny when I walk in at 10. I've missed an hour of it. Of course, the current county commission is the presiding commissioner is
Greg Mathis.
And then we have 2 associate commissioners.
C.D. Stewart and Wes Howard.
And those are divided east-west, north-south.
North and South districts.
North and South districts. Obviously, they all do a great job for Stoddard County. Courtney, how many people are currently employed in the Stoddard County Clerk's office?
The current employment in the county clerk's office is 6 people.
And that includes you. Does that include Cecil Weeks as well?
It does.
And if you were elected there in the August 4th primary for the Stoddard County Clerk's office, you would then take over. And then that would leave your position open. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
Tell me a little bit about the individuals who work in the office and kind of how you divide up those duties.
We have HR department within our office. Pam Wheeler takes over the HR duties. We have 2 other county deputy clerks within the office, and they handle voter registration, accounts payable. They oversee the minutes within the commission chambers during all the meetings, post the agendas. They're kind of the right-hand person for the county commission within the office. And then I am strictly voter registration. And I have been overseeing some of the budgetary stuff for several years, and I've been back up on payroll for probably 4 years of the 6 that I've worked there.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDXA 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor, and also candidate for Stoddard County clerk in the August 4th primary. Make sure you get out and vote in August 4th. Courtney, what has kind of prompted you to want to run for Stoddard County Clerk?
I have worked in the office going on 6 years now. I absolutely enjoy my job. I love working for the citizens that in the county that I've grown up in. I look forward to the public service and continuing to serve the residents of Stoddard County, and hope they can entrust electing me as county clerk. And,
one thing about the Stoddard County, for those who don't know, the Stoddard County Clerk's office is in the government building, which is right beside the I call it the Justice Center, but I don't think, is it the Justice Center? Is that what we call it?
It's between the Sheriff's Department and the Justice Center.
A very nice building. You need to go in. Very accommodating. Everyone's very friendly. They'd love to see you, love for you to come in, sit down and chat. Now, Josh Speakman, stay out of his office, but no, I'm just kidding. I like Josh Speakman too. So, Courtney, you indicated that you're a farm family. Now, is it my understanding that your mother graduated from?
My mother is a Dexter Bearcat graduate. My father is a Bloomfield Wildcat graduate, and my grandparents graduated as Essex Pirates.
And we were talking about a little bit of that off the air. You know, the Essex Pirates, of course, now is Richland with Essex and Gray Ridge. I kind of like that Essex Pirates.
I like the Essex Pirates, too. It brings back some nostalgia.
And you were telling me kind of a neat story about them. You indicated that your grandparents, they also have something that I think is kind of cool from the Essex Pirates. What was that?
They have their Letterman jackets, and I hear lots of stories of my grandpa, Jerry Mofield, who played basketball for the Essex Pirates.
And you never get tired of those stories, do you?
Never.
Absolutely. And, of course, I think Essex had a very good team back in the days. Is that correct?
They sure did.
And you also indicated you have an 8-year-old?
I have an 8-year-old daughter, Delaney Piper Aslin. She is our pride and joy. She is currently in 2nd grade at Bloomfield Elementary, and she is enjoying softball, tumbling, volleyball, and will be our little adventurer.
Absolutely. And, you know, at that age, I'm sure that she's, 2nd grade. What is she, 7, 8?
She's 8 years old.
Going on 22, probably.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, outstanding. And again, we're on Welcome to Luke with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor and also candidate for Stoddard County Clerk. The election is August 4th. Tell me a little bit, when does registration start, Courtney, for the election? When do you file?
The candidate filing will begin February 24th at 8 a.m., and that filing will go through March 31st until 5 p.m.
And you've indicated that you are announcing that you're a candidate. You're going to be there. And I asked you a poor question. I talked about registration. Of course, being an election, you're like, why is he talking about registrations? But I meant the candidate filing. I apologize, user. Let's talk a little bit about election registration. Is there a deadline for us to be able to get to talk about? We need to let the voters know?
Sure. The voter registration, of course, you can register to vote anytime now until the election. However, the last day to register to vote in order to vote in the April election will be March 11th. And July 22nd will be the last day to register to vote, to be eligible to vote in the August primary.
The safest thing to do is get the election, go to the Stoddard County Clerk's office. I guess you could also go online. Is that correct?
We have a website, and all of those dates are listed on the Stoddard County Clerk's website.
And if you want to register, you could just show up at your office there in the government building and fill out a form. They would love to see you. You know, I don't know the exact numbers on the election for the last election we had. What percentage of the actual voting population actually votes, would you say, Courtney?
In a municipal election in April, we typically have 10 to 15%. In a primary election, we can have about 30%. And, of course, your general elections on a presidential year will be higher than that. About 60% or so.
And the thing for us to remember, and again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, who is the candidate for Stoddard County Clerk in the August 4th, 2026 election, is if you want to complain, vote.
That's exactly right.
You know, if you don't want to vote, then I don't think you should get out there and be complaining about what your elected officials do. Correct?
That is correct. Voting is very important.
You know, I consider voting, and I'm not trying to get on the soapbox, but I think you and I'll agree. There's several duties that you should always be willing to do, even though they're kind of a pain. Vote and jury duty. Both of those, without the voters and without jurors, the system doesn't work. People may say, well, we don't have a very good system, and I assure you, I've traveled a lot of places, and I would not trade our system for any system anywhere in the world, and I think you feel that the same way, don't you,
I
Courtney?
feel that same way.
Exactly. And Courtney, what's going on in second grade? We got any basketball games or anything that we've been going to?
We have some basketball. We have some cheer performances. We've got a cheer performance tomorrow night, as a matter of fact.
Well, let's pump up the cheer performance. Where are we going to be cheering at?
That'll be at Bloomfield High School starting at 6 o'clock. And the little cheerleaders will be cheering in the halftime of the JV and varsity games.
So you better get there early. I know that my son, he plays for Kennett, and we played Zenith the other night, and the Zenith little cheerleaders were there. Packed house. I'm sure it will be packed at Bloomfield as well. Who are y'all playing tomorrow night? Don't know. Don't give me the...
I'm not sure who they're playing tomorrow night.
Whoever is going to be a win for the Bloomfield Wildcats.
That's right.
Go Coach Sindell. We love Coach Sindell.
Yes, go Wildcats.
Absolutely. And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor and candidate for the Stoddard County Clerk. August 4th, 2026 is the election. Bloomfield native, lived in Bloomfield and Stoddard County all of her life. Her mother was a graduate of Dexter High School. Her father was a graduate of Bloomfield High School. Both grandparents were from the Essex Pirates. Is that correct? And you mentioned his name, and I apologize.
Jerry Mofield and Shelba Mofield.
So make sure you give a shout out to those folks there. And they still live in the Essex area?
They do not. They have both passed on now.
I'm sorry. But they were Essex Pirates, and we... I love hearing stories about the days of the smaller schools, the Essex, the Howardsvilles, the things of that nature. Courtney, tell me a little bit about the family farm when you were growing up. You indicated that you are row crop, and you're also cattle. Is that correct?
We are.
What kind of row crops do you grow?
We grow corn, wheat, and beans.
Mostly grain, which sounds like all grain. Is that what your husband currently does?
It is.
And explain to the listeners a little bit about your husband. I think it's going to be very interesting to know. Tell me a little bit about Mr. Aslin.
Nathan and I got married in 2014. He has farmed all his life for Aslin Farms. He worked with his dad. He worked with his grandpa. We became Century Farmers in 2019, and he enjoys playing in the dirt.
And I guess my question, too, is do you still live on the farm there, or do you live in Bloomfield proper?
We live in Bloomfield now. We moved off of the farm, but we still raise our child on the farm. So
let me ask you this, and again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, having a great conversation with Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor for Stoddard County Clerk's Office, and the candidate for Stoddard County Clerk's Office in the August 4th election of 2026. When you guys decided to move off the farm, I can only imagine that discussion.
yes.
Is it something that we could talk about on the air?
Sure.
So you were living out on the farm. You decided that maybe you wanted to get it closer to town. Kind of how did you make that determination?
Just had a child on the way, and we wanted to be close to the school and have her close to the friends, and we was right there in town. Property came available within the family, and it was meant to be.
And sometimes things just work out. You when you first get married, you think this is where we're going to be forever, and then you realize in about 20, 25 years, like, I can't believe we moved 2 or 3 times. Now, I'm not going to say that's happened to you, but there's a lot of change that goes on that you never think is going to occur. Correct?
There is. We are smack dab right in the middle between my parents and Nathan's parents. So it's a happy medium with the grandbaby.
Well, and anytime you have one grandbaby, correct?
Correct.
It's always difficult for both grandparents to have opportunity to spoil them properly.
Yes. Yes.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor for Stoddard County Clerk's Office. And Courtney, I don't know if you know this, I am a grandfather. I have one grandson, and I always think I graduated high school in 1991. And I think that's about 10 years ago. Then I started adding it up, and I'm like, well, considering this is 2026, and that's 30 something years ago, I'm like, I'm getting old. And time just flies by, and it's just so you'll have big plans. Obviously, this summer you'll be doing nothing but campaigning, I'm assuming.
That is correct. We will be full-blown campaign this summer in between harvest and some vacation maybe.
Well, you have to take some time to enjoy life. Obviously, I don't know if you have any big vacation plans, but you've got to squeeze that in there. So tell me a little bit about you, any other siblings?
I have a sister. She just had a baby, so I have a new niece that I am currently spoiling.
Oh, does she live in the area?
She does. She lives in Dexter. Again, she graduated from Bloomfield. She's 3 years younger than I am, and as a matter of fact, she's my treasurer for my campaign.
Okay, and who's that?
Chelsea Laird.
So Chelsea has decided that despite the fact she's a Bloomfield Wildcat graduate, she has moved to Dexter. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How's that playing with the family?
Well, the kid isn't in school yet, so we don't have a Bearcat in the family.
There's always room for a Bearcat. Everybody can always has room for a Bearcat. And does Chelsea do something outside the home? I know being a mother is a full-time job. And does she also do something outside of the home?
She worked for insurance. Now that she's had the baby, I think she will stay at home with the baby.
There's a lot to be said about that. Obviously with child care costs and things of that nature, sometimes you're working just to pay for the daycare.
Yes.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, election supervisor for Stoddard County Clerk's Office, also candidate for the Stoddard County Clerk. She will be on the August 4th ballot. Make sure you get out and vote. And Courtney, I don't know if you know this, how long has Cecil Weeks been the county clerk?
Cecil was elected in 2019 is when he took office.
And before him was Joe Watson. Joe Watson, that's right. Did it for a term or two?
2 terms,
I believe. So there's been a lot of distinguished individuals. Would you be the first female county clerk in the history of Stoddard County?
I would be the first female county clerk in the history of Stoddard County.
And obviously, in my line of work, I travel around. I know Pam Treese is over in Pembina County, does a great job. But I'm trying to, is there any other in the area that you're aware of?
Butler County has a female county clerk.
Oh, that's right. She just got elected.
Cape Girardeau County clerk is also female. Mississippi County.
Well,
so there's a few around here.
I'm totally oblivious. There's a lot more than I thought, but that's an outstanding. It would be very exciting to have the first female county clerk here in Stoddard County. So I hope that comes to fruition. Kind of tell the listeners a little bit about some of the training and some of the things that you do at the county clerk's office, some of the places and the certificates and things that you acquired. I
am currently undergoing some training for election security, and it's an ongoing election training for 2 years. We kind of have in-person trainings. Most of it is conducted online, and it's been very beneficial for the election processes and procedures with as scrutinized as elections are these days. There's a lot of that goes into the elections, and there's a lot of media that comes out of elections. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor of Stoddard County Clerk's Office, also a candidate for Stoddard County Clerk. And Courtney, I've been through an election here in Stoddard and Dunklin County, and I've always found that the integrity of the Stoddard County Election Commission our office and Dunklin County is beyond reproach. There was never any issues. I mean, I think there are issues in certain areas, not here in southeast Missouri as far as Stoddard County. So I think that's very important that everyone knows. But again, you always have to be on top of that. Some of the things that are coming down the pipe, I think, is, the requirement to have a driver's license or some kind of ID to
vote in the election. Is that correct?
That is correct. The current law states that you are required to show a photo ID in order to vote. A voter ID card goes out every 2 years per state statute for the voter canvass. But you will have to show a photo ID in order to receive a ballot.
And when they say a voter ID, I probably misspoke. It does not have to be a driver's license, does it?
That is correct. You can have a valid driver's license, Missouri-issued driver's license, Missouri-issued non-driver's license, a U.S. passport, or a government-issued ID.
I'll have to look and see which one I look best on. I'm going to have to say that I'm probably going to need to request a new one because none of my three are flattering on my passport or my driver's license. So I'm going to have to reevaluate that. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor, the Bloomfield Wildcat native, getting ready for the big performance tomorrow night. The what do we call them? The
Little Wildcat cheerleaders.
Little Wildcat cheerleaders. I bet there are a bunch of little Wildcats too, aren't they? Is it going to be all of elementary?
It will be through 4th grade.
Oh my goodness, it'll be a great time. Go out and support the Bloomfield Wildcats. Also support the little Wildcat cheerleaders. Century Farmer, I think that's something that's very neat as well. Kind of explain to the listeners a little bit about a Century Farm is for the listeners, please.
My husband's family, the Aslin family, originated farmland in 1919, and they became Century Farmers in 2019.
It's basically a process in which you contact...
it's through the extension office, I believe, for owning land for 100 years.
And then there's a very nice plaque sign that's placed at the farm there.
That's correct.
And then you can kind of go from there. It's a very unique situation. You know, farming is a very tough profession right now. There's a lot going on with farming. So you have to admire anyone who can do anything for 100 years. And that's very impressive that the farm family. So a big shout out to the Aslin family for that as well.
Thank you.
Courtney, we talked a little bit about yourself. We talked a little bit. Tell me, there's got to be more than just traveling and things of that nature. What is really the driving force behind Courtney Aslin? And I know that being a parent is very important to you. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And I can tell whenever...
My family is my main priority when it comes to life.
I can tell when you talked about your little daughter there, that your eyes kind of lit up to some of the questions I was asking. It almost seemed like that was one of the main things that's very important to you.
Yep. We are members of Trinity Methodist Church in Bloomfield. Christ is the center of our world. So we love our church family and are happily raising our child in a Christ-centered home.
And, again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. With all the craziness in the world that we have every day, the ability to have a church family and also be focused on that's very important. And I admire you for being able to do that because there's so many different things that are pulling at our children, social media, the school system. So there's a lot to be able to say that, focusing on that in the home is very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
she goes to youth group, and she sure enjoys seeing all her friends at youth group.
Absolutely. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor of the Stoddard County Clerk's Office. Courtney, kind of explain to us a little bit about the budget side of it, and I'm not going to ask for specifics, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, about how much money is in the budget for Stoddard County every year.
The Stoddard County budget runs on about $20 million.
And when you start thinking about millions, a majority of it, I would assume, would go to the sheriff's office and the jail. Is that correct?
Most of the funding is in the general revenue account. Sheriff's Department does have a large budget. And of course, the county commission oversees all the budget.
Expenditures and things of that nature.
Correct.
And, with each department wanting to take a little bit more of it, is it my understanding there's still property tax that's assessed, that's gathered in for revenue? Is that correct?
That is correct.
There's also numerous sales taxes that's also gathered that has to be accounted for. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the county clerk is in charge of all those.
We do all the formulas for the railroad utility portion. We do the tax levies for the property taxes that the residents pay. We have all the legwork that goes into collecting the taxes and work collaboratively with the assessor and the collector treasurer's office.
And I know that the assessor collector's office is right next door. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I'm assuming that was laid out for a reason because of the collaboration that's required between the two offices.
Yes, I would assume so.
And again, we're welcome to the booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor for Stoddard County Clerk's office. Courtney, is my understanding the next elections we'll be talking about will be the April 7th municipal elections.
That is the upcoming election.
And in the April 7th municipal elections, is there going to be city council, mayor?
There's going to be cities, some school districts for board members. The county has an issue on there for SB3, of course, the ambulance district, your road districts and townships. Townships are not up this election. They will be up for next election.
And when you talk about SB3, what exactly, and forgive me for, I've heard about SB3 and we've talked about SB, what exactly is the SB3?
The SB3 is similar to the SB 190. However, the SB 190 is for individuals 62 and older to freeze their property tax rates. And the SB3 will be for any person that owns their own home.
So
regardless of age.
So as a result of some legislation that was passed by the House, I believe it was the last session, maybe?
That is correct.
They always confuse me whenever they're always passing these laws, and then I'm trying to figure out what exactly they're doing with everything up there.
How it will trickle down the pipeline to affect us.
So then you have to try to figure it out, because they say, here's a general premise, now we want you to kind of implement it, correct?
Yes.
And we've also talked about the ambulance. I think there'll be an ambulance
proposition.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So how far along are you in actual finalizing the ballot and things of that nature?
We have actually, this week I sent in my order to start printing ballots. So absentee voting will begin on the 24th of February, and February 10th was the last day to put anything on the ballot. So,
is there also going to be some school board elections?
There will be.
It almost seems like that April election is a lot busier than people realize.
It really is. Your April elections is strictly your county elections. If you don't vote in your April elections, why do you even vote? That is what affects everything you do in the very county that you reside in, is that April election.
And one thing that I've always found that was very important in the April elections is when you're looking at a community, one of the first things that you always talk about is the school system. The strong school system. Stoddard County has excellent school systems. I think was seven districts in the county, and then they are nice enough to let Woodland play in the Stoddard County, but that's Bollinger County. So we have those 7 school districts. One thing that I always find amazing is there's not more people wanting to run for school board. That's very fascinating to me, because I think, a strong school district is very important for the livelihood of a community. For instance, we were talking about Essex. They consolidated and became Richland. Mm-hmm. You have to really But sometimes for the betterment of the community, you kind of have to step up and say, I'm going to take one and see where we're at.
Absolutely. School board is very important. Our schools are very important for the education of our children. As far as the schools in Stoddard County, we have excellent schools. I am surprised that we don't have more people that choose to run for school boards to be involved in the school systems.
And, it's even got to the point now, I think, that the statute is passed. If there's 3 opening, there's only 3 people running, they don't even have to be on the ballot anymore.
That is correct.
And I couldn't tell you the last time that there's been that many people in a local election that
Right.
would require an election. And again, a lot of it may be that the people they have are doing a fine job, but I think people really need to reach out there and think about ambulance districts, school boards, things like that. Make a difference. Be in a levy district, something of that nature. Get involved.
Absolutely. We do have some other school districts that are not located in Stoddard County, but they have their districts fall within Stoddard County boundaries. So you have Twin Rivers School District, you have New Madrid School District, you have Zelma School District, and TRCC with the community college is also a district in the county.
And that's one thing people also, and this is always amazing to me. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor for Stoddard County Clerk's Office. Also a candidate for the Stoddard County Clerk, who, if elected, would be the first female county clerk in the history of Stoddard County, which would be amazing. The election is August 4th. Courtney, the fact that you have to determine the election area based upon drawing out a gravel road to say, okay, Bob Johnson lives on the corner of 419 and 420, so he has to get a ballot that's for Zalma or whatever. The person across the street is in a totally different, but votes at the same place.
That is correct.
How in the world, and I know that brings me to another point that we need to talk about, the importance of election judges, people who are willing to do that. Are you having trouble finding people?
We do have a problem finding election judges in Stoddard County. Stoddard County is a predominantly conservative county. We have lots of Republican judges. We do have a problem finding Democrat judges. However, we need judges.
Right.
We always need judges. We're always looking for judges. So anybody willing to step up and take a part in the democracy, we would be happy to welcome you on board.
And if you're interested in doing that, kind of explain to the listeners, they say, well, a judge, no, they're not going to be determining whether that hanging Chad is whatever. What would they be involved in doing?
The election judges will go to the polling precincts on election day. It's a very long day for the judges. The day starts usually at about 5 or 5:30 in the morning, and they don't leave until sometimes 7:30 or 8 o'clock, bringing supplies back. So it's a very long day for the judges. There is a training that judges are required to go through before they can serve as a judge. Those trainings are conducted at the county clerk's office in the commission chambers prior to every election.
And is it my understanding you like to have, and again, I'm maybe speaking out of turn, 2 Republican, 2 Democrats at each polling place?
It is a state statute that we have to have an equal number of Republican and Democratic judges at every polling precinct. We typically try to have at least 6 judges at every polling precinct. Of course, there's Bearcat Event Center when you have 9,000 to 10,000 people, and we've got about 4 tables set up with 4 different judges at each table.
And it's my understanding, and again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. You come in to vote, they have these great machines. You just kind of stick your card up there. They take it and it's like, there's Darren Todd. And then you sign your name and you vote. Now, sometimes there may be an issue or things of that nature, and that's when you guys get involved. But these folks will go through the roster, give you the proper ballot, help you with extremely friendly. So it's another thing. We're going to add this to our list. You got to vote. You got to do jury duty, and we need some people to come out and be election judges.
That's
correct?
right. That's right.
And now I'm going to, I think this stuff is fascinating. Some people may be like, Darren, you're talking about stuff that's not interesting. But Courtney and I think this is fascinating. My next favorite thing is when they actually bring the ballots in to be counted. There's also people who get to sit and watch the counting take place. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And what are they called?
We have absentee team who counts absentees, and we have a verification board who does verification, post-election verification for audits.
And I can remember because there used to be, and I always call, there's they're in Dunklin County or wherever, they would just be sitting up there, and you'd just be feeding these ballots through the machine, and they would just be watching. And I'm assuming there's equal number of both parties as
That
well.
is correct.
And I think that's so fascinating that people got invited to do that. I think that would be a unique job as well.
We do have public testing prior to the election where it's open for public viewing. We just run a test deck through the machines and test the machines for verification pre-election and post-election. There's a lot that goes into election security.
And again, we're going to welcome the booth with Darren Todd on KDXA 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin, the election supervisor for Stoddard County Clerk's Office. Also, the candidate for the Stoddard County Clerk. The election will be August 4th. If elected, she'll be the first female county clerk in the history of Stoddard County, which I think it's long overdue. We talk about the security of the elections. In Stoddard County and Dunklin County, is it my understanding too, the election judges will then bring the ballots up to the polling, or actually the government building. That's where the counting takes place. Is that correct?
That is correct.
It'll be under the watchful eye of the election judges. Is that what we're going to call them?
We have a verification team that verifies all the ballots that's coming in that night from our supervisory judges.
And, we had an issue the last election in Dunklin County where we thought there was a winner, then there wasn't a winner, and things of that nature. And I couldn't imagine the feeling to know that, hey, all of a sudden, the person we thought was going to win didn't win and had to make that phone call. So I'm assuming, how do you go about making sure that the decision that has been made is the right decision? Is there like a time limit or certain area that or do you just have to say, you know what, we've done everything, we've counted everything, we've double checked it, triple checked it, this is it?
So when the close of polls occurs at 7:00, the judges are required to gather the ballots, empty out the tabulators, bring the voted ballots and the unvoted ballots back into the office along with their election supplies. There is a thumb drive that's in the tabulators, and that is the brains of the machine. So that gets brought in, calculated, and we have preliminary results that evening based on those thumb drives that come in.
And how long after the election are you required to keep the ballots and that information?
So we have 2 weeks to certify the election. Voted ballots are required to be retained for 22 months. And, of course, we have permanent permanent election folders that keep all the documentation together. And then unvoted ballots can be discarded after 30 days. So
you have to keep this all for 20. Sounds like there's the procedure is very, very, very secure.
It's very secure. Missouri has very secure elections.
And again, we're on Welcome to Luke with Darren Todd on KDXA 1590, talking to Courtney Aslin. She's gracious enough to give us some of her time today. She's the election supervisor for Stoddard County Clerk's Office, reminding everyone to get out and vote for the April 7th election. Also, she's a candidate for the Stoddard County Clerk. If elected, she'll be the first female clerk in Stoddard County, which will be long past or long overdue. She'll be on the August 4th ballot. Courtney, as we're kind of winding down here, tell me a little bit about something that I haven't asked you. I know that we've talked a lot about your job as the election supervisor, that you've taken a great interest in that you done that for 3-4 years?
3 years.
You've also taken a very active interest in the budgeting process. It's my understanding there's a $20 million budget
that is
for Stoddard County, that you would be in charge of. There's nothing in that office that you have not done. Is that correct?
That is correct. We do notary license, liquor license, accounts payable for the county, payroll for the county, budgetary, and our main job is elections. Elections tends to take up a majority of our time in that office.
And you have worked with the county commission, all fine, outstanding individuals. I guess, the last few years. Continue to do that. If you want to go to a meeting, watch them in place. It's every Monday at 9, depending on holidays. Don't show up at 10 like I do. I don't know why I thought 10, but it'll say 9 o'clock. And if you have any questions about any kind of election issue or any kind of issue in regard to the clerk's office, the citizens can always reach out to you. Is that correct, Courtney?
Absolutely. They can call our office at any time. They can visit our website at stoddardcountyclerk.gov. And I try to share stuff publicly on Facebook for voter education. It's too important to not get that information out there, just to be transparent for the voters. And we want to make sure that everyone now has understand we need election officials. We want you to election judges. We want you to reach out to the the county clerk. Asked to do that. That's very important. Also, we want you to make sure you vote in every election, and also we want you to do jury duty. That is correct. 3 things that you need to do for Stoddard County. Courtney, we've got about 1 minute, 2 minutes left. Won't you just tell the listeners a little bit about why Courtney Aslin is the right person for the county clerk position? I have worked in the county clerk's position in the county clerk's office going on 6 years now. I love my job. I love working for the citizens of Stoddard County and working for the county that I've been born and raised in. I take pride in my job, and I look forward to public service and continuing my duties within the county and working with all the county officials. And I think if you'll reach out and talk to anyone who works in the government building, the jail, the sheriff's office, anywhere in Stoddard County, you'll reach out and know that Courtney is more than qualified and the person for this job. So we'll hope that August 4th it'll all work out, and we believe it will. Courtney, I'd like to thank you for coming in and joining us today. Thank you so much. And on behalf of my executive producer, Evan Todd, my producer, Misty Hankins, I'd like to thank you for joining us on Welcome to the Booth. I hope you have an excellent afternoon and a better tomorrow.